messaged me saying, do you ever feel that you're not connected? You no longer have things in common with people that you once did. She sent it by audio message. So as I'm listening to this message at 11 a.m., I'm spending my morning going around searching for magazines that I am featured in. I know how that feels when it seems as though you don't have things in common with people that you were once really, really close to. There are some relationships that I no longer relate to because of how we were relating. I wrote a blog about this quite some time ago with trauma bonding. There were people that I was bonded with because we were experiencing so much trauma, whether that was being a single mom living in poverty, whether that was very, very awful work environments where we were trying to put our money together to get attorneys or having to advocate for one another. We were bonded in a very, very traumatic space. So you have a choice to make. Are you going to find new things to have in common? Or are you going to just check in intermittently? There are people in my life who have been there when I was living in trailer parks. People who knew me when I was living in like very unsafe housing. And we are still connected today with me here in Paris, multiple times a month at times, where we are still connected. But I'm not going to stop doing what I need to do to go where I want to go in an effort to still be relatable. People have choices to make. They want. Woo, it has been a long, long day. Bonjour, mes amis, and bienvenue to a quick chat. C'est moi, Jessie, your resident Francophile, and here on Cappuccinos and Consignment, I focus on lifestyle, travel, and finance. S'il vous plaît, take a moment to like, subscribe, and follow. Follow me over on Insta. I have a blog on TikTok and Insta. Search pour moi because sometimes I am just not on your feed. So today, while out searching for a magazine that I am in, mes amis, I am in a printed magazine. It hit the newsstands, I want to say Thursday. Today is Monday. I have gone everywhere. And by everywhere, I mean to Barnes and Noble. Looking for the publication. My dear friend in Florida has 3 copies and she is going to send me one, but I want the experience, like going in the store searching for it. So that's a whole other vlog that I have been recording. But full circle, while out today, a dear mes amis who now I have an offline relationship with, friendship. I have to really be careful with my words here. I consider them relationships, truly. Off topic, I feel like friendships, courtingships to become friends, I feel like those take more work than actual like romantic relationships. Correct me if I'm wrong, because in friendships, there's more you have to put into sustaining a healthy, authentic, just close knit. I mean, just chat with me. Let me know what you all think about that. Budding friendship avec un mes amis that I met here online, but we have connected offline. And it was about 11 a.m. or so. And she sent me a message. I won't share her name because I did not inquire if it was okay for me to do so. If she's okay with it, just comment here. She messaged me saying, do you ever feel that you're not connected? You no longer have things in common with people that you once did. And she gave me an example. She recently left her 9 to 5 to pursue her thing. And she was sharing that it's 11 a.m. I'm still like just sipping a cup of tea. I think I have one project that I'm going to work on and like life is good. And so I'm listening to, she sent it by audio message. So I'm listening to this audio message while it is 11 a.m. I went to 3 stores. I went to a Books A Million as well. But as I'm listening to this message at 11 a.m., I'm spending my morning going around searching for magazines that I am featured in. So I know how that feels when it seems as though you don't have things in common with people that you were once really, really close to. In this back and forth, I shared with her what I believe is the root issue of that, I guess, unsettling feeling that you may have. It's that you feel that you are no longer relatable. This extends far beyond changing your profession. I think we have all experienced this at some point in life, whether that be you were single, so now you don't have too much in common with your single friends because you're married, or you didn't have a child. Now you may be the only friend in your circle who has a child, and your life is no longer the same as those who have all the freedom. Or whether that's a promotion, a new job, things just change. What I've noticed throughout time is that some friendships, some acquaintanceships, is that a word? If you're new here, I have a tendency to make up words, but we just roll with it. I have noticed that some relationships that are formed are meant for certain spaces. I don't know if it's the reason, the season, that kind of thing, but I know that there are some people that I have met who were for a particular space. Case in point, something very small as people I have met while flying. There are times when I meet people who are in the pod next to me to Paris, and we are on a flight for 7 hours and we connect. We're dining together, we're drinking together. Sometimes we'll watch movies in tandem, but we know oftentimes once we land, that's probably the last time we will see one another. There are people who I have kept in touch with that I have met on the train. Actually, earlier today, I messaged with someone, and this is how I know if you are a vintage Mazami. This is when I went to New York to see the 100 LV trunk exhibits. I was in a space where I was transitioning with a lot, and I met a woman at a coffee shop. We exchanged information, and she truly didn't think that we were going to keep in touch, but she did not know me. I'll text her today, letting her know that I will be back in New York soon, and also look out for this magazine that I'm in. But that's just an example. But something like that, if you're on the airplane with someone and you really, really seem to connect, it may be hard to then continue that friendship, that courtship, whatever it was, that connection, I'll just say that connection that you all had when you were in a confined space, when you all had this uninterrupted time to just be with one another. Another example is work friendships. I have experienced both sides of that. I have had work friendships turn into sisterships. Some of my dearest, closest friends right now, I have met them in careers. And there are people who I worked with where we were really close at that time, at that space. But once I left, or once they left, we really didn't have too much in common anymore because all that we talked about was solely work. So with regards to the space that I am in now, and maybe you are in a position where you don't feel as relatable to certain people, here's how I have handled things. My life is a lot different than most of the people that I know. Most of the people that I know are not in Paris every month. Most of the people that I know have a structured 9 to 5 that requires them to put leave in if they want to go somewhere, or just a more structured life, I should say. I make a point to respect that, for one. I have to remember, if I am sending a funny text or if I just think about you and decide to call, that they can't always answer their phones when I need them to, or reply to a text. So there are just certain things that I just have to remember. I have to remember that. I mean, I tend to travel by myself anyway, but in the event that there was somewhere that I wanted to go with friends, I would make a point to give them enough time to submit leave to do whatever it is that they had to do, because our situations are different. So I feel that it's really contingent on how your relationship started. There are some relationships that I no longer relate to because of how we were relating. I wrote a blog about this quite some time ago with trauma bonding. There were people that I was bonded with because we were experiencing so much trauma, whether that was being a single mom living in poverty, whether that was very, very awful work environments where we were trying to put our money together to get attorneys or having to advocate for one another. We were bonded in a very, very traumatic space. Do I still talk to some of these people? Nowhere as much as I used to. And it's not that anything happened. I see often in society when friendships and relationships end, we have this notion that it has to be someone's fault. And that is not the case. We grow. We grow apart. I don't know anyone that I have met a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, where we still just have so much in common right now. Like, yes, we can all go down memory lane, but the chances of still having so much in common with people that you grew up with, that may not be the normal. For some people, that is. I have learned that depending on the way you met someone, the circumstances in your life, that more so determines how you maintain your relationship throughout different changes. There are people in my life who have been there when I was living in trailer parks, people who knew me when I was living in like very unsafe housing, and we are still connected today with me here in Paris, multiple times a month at times, where we are still connected because our connection wasn't based on a traumatic experience. Our relationship wasn't based on a job. Our relationships was really just based on one another. So I noticed that is unrelatability. I need to start Googling these things before I start recording. But I see now that times when you no longer feel relatable, one, you are not a problem. You are not a problem. It does not mean that something is wrong with the friendship, the relationship. It just means that what you all once related on at the same space in tandem is no longer there. So you have a choice to make. Are you going to find new things to have in common? Or are you going to just check in intermittently? It really is a process. And that's like circling back to this whole, in my opinion, how I think friendships take a lot more work than romantic relationships, because romantic relationships sometimes can continue to just coast on even when a lot of other components that makes it romantic are gone, whether that's you're sharing a house and financially neither of you can leave, or the kids, or there are things that tie you into romantic relationships. Wow, that took a lot. I was out of breath. There are things that tie you into romantic relationships that do not tie you into friendships. You don't have, I don't think, for the most part, common debt or houses with deeds or businesses or children in custody. So friendships, it takes an extra layer of work. So that's what I meant by the whole, I think friendships take more. So with that being relatable, I hope we all get to a space where we no longer relate to where we were, not even anyone else. Like, let's take anyone else out of the picture. I hope we all get to a point where we no longer relate to where we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago. I hope we all continue to grow where we aren't the person we used to be, whether that's we sought out counseling, whether that's we signed up with a one-on-one call avec Jessie Francis. And we mapped out a strategy for you to live your best life. If you did not know, I do offer one-on-one calls. They have been such a vibe. Like, 5-star reviews. I'm so thankful. I am so blessed. And even that's something that a lot of people here on social media feel now that they can't relate to me, because I have started leaning more into personal development, personal coaching, where some people came here solely for the fashion, for Paris, for travel, for those things. So for some people who join me here, I'm no longer relatable, and that's totally fine. It does not mean that something went wrong. I said something, I did something. They just no longer relate to me where they are right now. I'm not going to stop growing. I am not going to stop searching for this magazine. I'm not going to stop doing what I need to do to go where I want to go in an effort to still be relatable. People have choices to make. They want to continue to grow with you, or they have to be okay with the new dynamics that you all have. It does not make you a bad person. It does not make you wrong. It doesn't make them wrong. It doesn't make anyone anything. You are just at a different space in your life. I would love to hear if you all have ever experienced anything along these lines of just no longer feeling relatable. And how are you coping and how are you managing that? I am so thrilled. I am so thrilled and I am so blessed. And I know that it is a luxury for me to be in this space where I may not be relatable to a lot of family members. Like I get those messages all the time. I get those messages all the time, and I know it's a joke, but they're like, girls, some of us have jobs, when I'm calling because I saw something funny on TikTok, and it's, girl, some of us have jobs, and I don't take it as shade. I get it, but your girl works, okay? Yeah, but I just wanted to hop on really quick. That is not what today's vlog was supposed to be about. I really thought I was going to find the magazine and I was going to do like a flashback, flash forward, present. We were going to do all of those things. So hopefully by the next vlog, Thursday, I will have found the magazine. It is Modern Woman, USA Today. And I think I'm on page 91 or something. It's like a full feature. I just want to see it. I want to see it. So it is a bit late now because I have been out all day, but I really wanted to talk about that. I wanted to get that conversation going. So if you all have any additional questions about just my transition to this space that I have created. We have a very, very open community here, but this is a topic that I wanted to discuss. And I am so glad that the dear Mazami said that, because I definitely feel it. I guess I never really put too much thought into it, but I'm so glad she did. So yeah, I cannot wait to read your thoughts on this. And yeah, book that one-on-one call. If you haven't booked the call, book the call. Push your button. Alrighty, until the next vlog. Ciao for now.